Stan Gibilisco here, proprietor and operator of amateur radio station W1GV, Whiskey 1 Good Vibrations. How did I get that call sign? W1GV, technically W1 Golf Victor. Well, in February of 1977, I moved out from Minnesota after graduating college to take a job as a W1AW operator. And at that time, they were letting extra class licensees choose two-letter call signs. And I lived with a couple of other hams, one of whom decided to keep his regular three-letter call sign, and the other chose a two-letter call sign. And you could actually choose your favorite and then your second favorite, etc., etc. And they give you the one that was the highest on your list that was available. And it turned out that W1GV was my first choice. I chose that call sign for a specific reason. First of all, it was a two-letter call sign, and it wasn't too long. The letters G, da, da, dit, and V, di, 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 da, are not terribly long in CW, but when you send that in CW, it has a certain rhythm and ring to it that tends to stay in your memory, and you're not likely to miss any dits or das because of static crashes or other things. You're less likely than, say, a call sign like Whiskey 1 Echo Echo. A single letter E might get obliterated by a short static burst. Now it's true, of course, that QRN and QRM, QR Nancy, is it Nancy? November, QR November, and QRM. Oh shucks, I forget the phonetic for that. But you know, interference can obliterate short letters like that, E and I. But W1GV had a certain ring to it in CW that seemed to stick in the memory even if you didn't specifically remember the letters. So I usually had to send it only once, and that was my intention. I wanted to be able to send that call sign once at a moderate rate of speed and not have to repeat it, rather than sending it twice or even three times at high speed, which would in effect take longer. So da 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 da. When I drop that in to a vacant frequency slot when chasing DX, it's much more likely that the DX will hear that signal. You have to have a certain sense of when to send, when you're not going to send over anyone, when you're not going to be zero beat with anyone, when you follow the DX station's preferences as to whether they want to be called higher or lower in frequency. All these little things on CW you learn. And also, I just wanted the call sign to be relatively short, easy to remember. I've had that call sign since 1977, so about 40 years, I guess, now. And I don't plan to change it. W1 is not, the numeral 1 isn't really in South Dakota, in the South Dakota zone, but you can have any number in any zone nowadays. I could be W1GV in Hawaii, I could be W1GV in Texas, Florida, and I've always been, since 1977, W1 Good Vibrations, although I never use those phonetics because I always send CW. But it has a certain rhythm, it's easy to remember, it's not too long, I only have to send it once, and that all figured in to my intention when I chose that call sign and got it. My number one choice. As an extra class licensee, that was one of the perks. It turned out that someone else had had that call sign before and then had become deceased. And I got a letter from one of the survivors saying, is there some way you can get us that call sign back? And I didn't know of any way that call sign could be transferred back to another member of their family. Maybe there was, but I didn't know of any. But I think I've probably been the longest holder in terms of duration of that call sign now. W1GV, and sounds good to me. I like the sound of it on CW. It has a certain... I just like the call sign, and I plan to keep it until either I die or they make ham radio obsolete, which is an ever-present danger in our increasingly commercialized, non-amateur society, and in the increasing chances that we may have a third world war and ham radio operation might be suspended. But even then, afterwards, when ham radio gets back on track, I hope still to be W1GV until the very end. Until da-da-da-da-da-da is my final... Maybe that's what I'll put on my gravestone. No, I'm going to be cremated. I forgot. I'll put it on my urn then. W1GV. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Stan Gibilisco signing off. Saying 73 and so long. Which, of course, even now, always translates to da-da-da-da-da-da.